Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is why are integrations important? Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. I have mentioned integrations or interfaces in many of the previous videos. To be clear on what I'm talking about, this is where two or more separate applications send or receive data from each other. I prefer the term integrations as it implies these systems are working as one from an end-user perspective. These may or may not be automated. It could be as simple as a spreadsheet upload. So why should you care about integrations? In my experience, ERPs always have integrations, sometimes hundreds, and they are not usually given the attention that they need, whether in the initial implementation, which may impact configuration setup, or with ongoing support. I believe that this happens because it seems to be mostly technical people who understand the data integrity challenges, and the functional people just assume that some kind of IT magic will ensure perfect data in all systems. Without a robust integration framework in place, you will end up with data error issues, confusion, and lack of trust with data for decision-making. And ultimately, you will incur a lot of cost as you try to reconcile systems. This is why you should care about integrations. I will try and give you a few tips to save you some grief in this area. The most important principle of integrations is that you designate one system as the source of truth for any given piece of data. ERPs are usually the source of truth for master data such as chart of accounts, vendors, and customers. If your ERP is feeding this data to other systems, it is best to use security to disallow any changes to that data in the receiving system. If something needs to be changed, it should be done in the source of truth system only, and then resent to the receiving systems. Other systems may send transactional data such as invoices or journal entries to the ERP. While the ERP will become the source of truth for all consolidated financials, the sending system is still the source of truth for the original transaction record. If at all possible, you need to design your integrations to be reusable. There are many technical ways to accomplish this, but it should be fairly easy to understand why you would only want one integration to be responsible for sending out vendor information. For example, if you have 10 systems that need that vendor data, then you do not want to have to maintain 10 different integrations when one would suffice. This may require you to design your integrations in components that can be pulled together as needed. This is really the same concept as having one source of truth for your data. Your code also should only have one source of truth. Think about making changes. Would you like to do that once or 10 times and run the risk of not making the same change every time? What a potential mess. Ideally, you would have an integration architect in your company who is the authority on your integration technology to assist with solution design to fit integration requirements and ensure that they are following standards. I would also suggest that you try and avoid having a lot of logic inside an integration. You may have heard the term extract, transform, and load, or ETL, which is really just another name for an integration. The transform part is the exciting piece. Very useful for an initial data load, but if you build complicated logic into operational integrations, you will spend a lot of time maintaining it there. A better option is to have the required logic in the source system, which makes it more visible and less of a black box that only a few technical people can understand or maintain. There are many types of integrations, and understanding your business requirements will help you determine which kind you need. I have mentioned basic file uploads, which are usually quite easy to manage. Changing spreadsheet formats isn't too difficult either, unless you have a lot of them. Automated file transfers are quite common. The biggest question you need to ask here is how often do they need to be run? If only once a day or less frequently, the receiving system needs to understand that they may not have current information. If an integration needs to be real-time or near real-time, you need to consider latency or performance impact in the situation that a transaction is waiting to proceed until that integration does its thing. For example, your enterprise asset management system may have a real-time integration to the ERP to look up valid activity codes for a given account while entering a work order. You need to think about what will happen if that lookup does not respond in a timely fashion. To design or maintain integrations in the most effective way, you need to identify your key integration stakeholders. You may be surprised at how many parties should be involved. Your stakeholders would include the business owners of the data, the support groups of both sending and receiving systems, either functional or technical, a data management group if you have one, and of course security. Then you should define the scope of their responsibilities. I've already mentioned the integration architect, who would be responsible for ensuring standards will be met and can sign off on the technical specs. The sender or publisher of the data needs to provide the data and is responsible for the validity of the information published, which ideally would include any transformations. They need to understand the subscriber's requirements and are responsible for signing off on subscriber access to the published data. They would also be expected to assist in any issue troubleshooting and root cause resolution. The receiver or subscriber of the data needs to ensure that their requirements are understood and to be able to apply any business logic that may be needed in the receiving system. They too would be expected to assist in issue troubleshooting and subsequent root cause resolution. For the applications at both ends of the integration, you will need functional subject matter experts who are the authority on their data and application constraints. Similarly, you likely need both integration developers and their counterparts from the applications, who are the authority on their application's technical constraints and capabilities to support integrations. And if you can, some software quality assurance to execute and document integration testing and sign-off would be good too. Security should ensure that only approved data can be accessed through an integration. This becomes quite important when we're talking about external or cloud integrations. You must make sure that your data in transit is as secure as it is in the endpoint systems. It is particularly important for payments and banking information and sensitive or personal information. Many countries have laws about this that you need to follow, regardless of where the data is. A simple example that I have seen is access for data warehouse HR data was not in sync with the ERP HR data security, causing access to sensitive data to be given without obtaining the appropriate approval. If you have many integrations, I would highly recommend that you have someone play the role of integration manager to facilitate, coordinate, and communicate between impacted teams. This person could also be responsible for ensuring incidents are resolved and root causes are found, which would involve coordinating with the application functional teams for setting priorities, allocating resources, doing the analysis, assigning tasks, and obtaining approvals. This person could also manage integration small enhancements or changes due to application or integration tool patches or upgrades, and also provide overall oversight to ensure that the integration support documentation is maintained as required. This person does not have to be overly technical, but an understanding of the integration tools and business processes involved is an asset. Once you have the roles and responsibilities defined, then it is time to make sure that everyone understands the processes. These would include those required for analysis, design, and development. Then also the deployment processes for any new integrations or changes, and what needs to be done for root cause resolution of integration issues. I will go into a bit more detail here in my next video, where I will cover some of the common causes of integration issues. In the meantime, I hope the tips that I've already mentioned will help you understand why you need to care about integrations. This concludes the Why Are Integrations Important topic. There is a link on askmizrp.com to email me to ask questions or suggest topics for future videos, or you can just add comments on any YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and see you on the next video.